So this is my cat Buddy, and he has taken over the sessions. You could see him right there. See? This is Buddy, everybody. Okay. Well, hello, my name is Jim Royal. I am a huge Beatles and Elvis Presley fan and basically classic rock in general. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. At the end of the video, if you could do a thumbs up, that's most appreciated. And feel free to leave comments. I always enjoy reading them, and I do my best to try to respond in a timely manner. Today what I wanted to do is I wanted to talk about, since we're in October 2021, about the Let It Be box set. But I want to focus on one component only. I know there's been a lot of talk about it. I want to talk about the Glyn Johns mix. Okay, so what exactly is the Glyn Johns mix? It was one of the discs that came in the box set. The Glyn Johns mix is basically the way that the Let It Be album was supposed to be. Okay, it originally was going to be called Get Back, and the idea behind it was no overdubs, no edits, and no orchestration. Alright, they wanted to go back to their roots of rock and roll. George Martin was involved in the project, but you know, a lot of the normal know-how that he'd be used for, he wasn't. Glyn Johns was the engineer during these January '69 sessions. And initially, I think Paul McCartney wanted to do some tour dates. He wanted to play some small clubs, and he thought that they should play again, that they were getting a little rusty, you know, play live again. Other Beatles didn't really want that. They did compromise, and what they ended up doing is doing a one-time performance on top of their Apple rooftop building in January 30th of '69, and that turned out to be their last public performance. Okay, so let's talk about this right here. What I think is really interesting about this was something that Glyn Johns put together. From my understanding, he might have done 4 different mixes. I know of 2 for sure. This is the May 28th, 1969 mix, all right? And this was the idea of kind of, what basically happened was, it was March of '69, and John Lennon and Paul McCartney summoned him to come in, and they pointed to a pile of tapes, and they said, remember that album that, you know, we were talking about, you know, what we wanted to do that you knew about? Well, what we want you to do is put together an album. Just go and do it. So he booked time at his favorite studio, Olympic Studios. It's a little over 6 weeks, and then finally by the end of May, he did have something to present to them, and this is the version that appears in the Let It Be box set that was just released. In fact, what's interesting is Angus McBean, the original photographer, reshot this. This was originally, John Lennon's idea was to, hey, let's have our original album, let's rephotograph ourselves on the EMI building and, you know, pose in the same exact way like we did 6 years before. And I thought it was a great idea. So anyway, that is it. Now what I'm holding here, I have 2 rare recordings. I've been listening to this stuff since the late '80s. So I'm not a stranger to it, and a lot of us have heard it before that are huge fans. But the recordings at the beginning just weren't too good. But on this box set, they're really excellent. Okay, so let's talk about this. Let's start off. One thing that's missing on this, I do have to say, is I'm Me Mine, which at that time was, I believe, just an instrumental that was in the film. Kind of a waltz. You have John Lennon and Paul McCartney, or John Lennon and Yoko, I believe, are dancing. And that was later recorded January of 1970 with 3 of the 4 Beatles. John Lennon was not present, and George Martin was producing. And then the song Across the Universe. Yeah, they rehearsed it in the movie, but it's actually a February 1968 recording. That was possibly going to be a B-side or an A-side for Lady Madonna, that single on the Inner Light. Okay, so let's talk about this. And I wanted to talk about this because this was the way that the album possibly might have actually ended up before they had strings and everything, and Phil Spector got involved and they called it Let It Be. So the album starts out with One After 909, and This is a nice rocker. Talk about going back to their roots. This is from 1957. It's a John Lennon, Paul McCartney early composition. They believe they originally first tried recording it, I think it was from Me to You, that single, in March of '63. It didn't make the grade for them at the time, and they left it unreleased, but a version of that from those sessions does appear on the anthology one, so I would encourage you to check that out. And I like that version too. This was from January 30th, which was up on the rooftop. Okay, the next song is called Rocker, and this was from January 22nd. It's about 42 seconds long, and what's interesting about this was it's not necessary, but again, it's the spirit. I'm just like Let It Be. What Glyn Johns did is he had the studio chatter. He had the talk in between the songs, and this was just kind of a warm-up song, and it was just just a fun one. I think it was almost like they were recording it in the middle when the tape started rolling finally. I like it. I've always liked it. I think it was fun. I'm glad it's here in this collection. Alright, then the next song is called Save the Last Dance for Me. This is about a minute long, and this was originally by the Drifters. This was recorded January 22nd, '69. And this is nice tune. I mean, it's a breakdown. They break down into it, and then they launch into Don't Let Me Down, which was recorded the same day. And this is a different version than the single, and that's the thing that's interesting about this Glyn Johns mix, is he takes a lot of early takes or different takes than what Let It Be and Phil Spector finally chose for the finished album. This is a good version of it. It's not as good as the single version though, with Get Back, Don't Let Me Down. I think it's one thing that I really wish that this would have been on the Let It Be album, and I think it just belongs with it. I'm glad it's here on the Get Back album. And it is a fun version. Alright, the next song is called Dig a Pony. This was from January 24th. Originally had the intro and outro of All I Want Is You, which I like. I like that too. It's like something different. You're always used to hearing it one way, and then you hear it this way. Good tune. I've Got a Feeling is the next one. This is from January 24th. This is fun. You have John Lennon doing his middle, Everyone Had a Hard Year. I don't think it's as good as the version on Let It Be, in my opinion, but it is good. Alright, so then what ends up being the last song on the first side is Get Back, and this is the single version that was recorded January 28th. The single came out in April of '69. Alright, so now we're going to go to the second half, and it starts off with For You Blue. This was from January 25th, the George Harrison song. Because You're Sweet and Lovely, I think, was an early title for it. I like the version on Let It Be better, when he's talking about, Elmore James, and, that's kind of fun. But this is a fun version, too, and I like how you hear, the ice, the drink, making noise at the beginning. I think that's kind of cool. Alright, then the next song is an unreleased tune called Teddy Boy, and I always thought this was really cool. This is a song that later would appear on Paul McCartney's his first solo album. But here he is trying it during the Get Back sessions. They did do a few takes of it. Keep in mind, there was about 10 days of actual proper recording. Before that, they were rehearsing in Twickenham, studios, film studios. So Teddy Boy, you could see they're running through it. They're doing their best. In fact, at one point, Paul McCartney says, it just goes that way, and then John's doing a funny, during an instrumental break, he's saying, do-si-do, take your partner, do-si-do, and then he says, jump off, and it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun. Alright, so the next song is called Two of Us. I think it originally was called On Our Way Home. This was from January 24th also. So Get Back, Teddy Boy and Two of Us, these versions were recorded the same day. I like it. I think it's a different version, and I don't think it's as strong, but I like it too. Maggie May, man, I'm so glad that this was retained for the Spector Let It Be album. This is about 40 seconds. It's public domain, traditional song. It's recorded January 24th. It's just the spirit of what the album was set out to be originally. Now, Dig It is a curious one. Dig It, it's normally about maybe 40 seconds, 45 seconds possibly on Let It Be. Well, on here you get a longer version. You get a little over 4 minutes, 4 minutes and 20 seconds. It was recorded January 26. In fact, some bootlegs have 8 minutes long, and I think it originally was a 12-minute jam to begin with. And there are different versions of it too, but this is the one, you know, with the Doris Day, and you hear Paul a little pronounced. They had his mic not turned down. And it's good. It's good. I think it's more of a curious thing, and quite honestly, I think it's fine that they shortened it, that Phil Spector shortened it for the Let It Be album. I think it works there, but it's interesting hearing it all this time, and you're like, oh, this is really cool. All right, so then the next song is Let It Be, and this is from January 30th. I think this is the same take that they would, you know, use for the single, I believe. But anyway, this is, you know, just a nice tune. Hearing this, though, you hear the original guitar that George played at the time. Later, there would be an overdub. All right, and then you have The Long and Winding Road from January 31st. So what happened was they performed a lot of these rockers on January 30th on the rooftop of Apple, and then the 31st they did some of the quieter songs like Long and Winding Road, Two of Us. I think they did, and they did Let It Be on there too. Okay, so this is from January 31st. This is no strings. This is the way that Paul McCartney envisioned it and had intended it to be, and Glyn Johns wanted it to be the same way. I'm going to just be honest with you. I like the Let It Be album too. Okay, I don't have a problem with Let It Be. I thought Phil Spector did a great job. At some point they decided, you know what, we're not going back to our roots. We're not going to call it Get Back, and they decided to reshape it into Let It Be. Let It Be was one of the earlier albums that I got in the early 80s when I first started getting into the Beatles. I got it on cassette. I never had a problem with it. It's not my favorite album, but there's some standout songs on there, and I think it's a good album. I think he did a good job. But what's curious about this is with The Long and Winding Road, with the strings and, you know, the voices, and, you know, there was talk about, oh, that's never been on a Beatle record. Well, I got news for you. Check out the White Album's Good Night, the last song on there, the John Lennon song that, you know, Ringo sang. There's a lot of strings on there, and there's a lot of women voices, okay? So, I mean, it happened, okay? I like any version of the song. I even like the Paul McCartney Give My Regards to Broad Street album from '84. All right, so I like all of them. But I respect the fact that this was not the way that Paul, the artist, envisioned his song, you know, from Let It Be. But here is the way that you hear it, the way that he wanted it, with no strings. All right, and then it ends with Get Back, the reprise. This is from January 28th. I believe this is in the credits for Let It Be. And this is a nice, you know, a nice kind of a fun, you know, version of it. So anyway, that is what I wanted to talk about. I hope everybody enjoyed watching the video, and I hope that you're enjoying, you know, this album. I hope you're enjoying listening to this, and just you listen to this again and just say to yourself, this could have been the way that it could have been released. I'm glad we got Let It Be, but I'm also glad that finally we got this version. So thanks for watching my video. You have a good day. Take care.